feel like I've been given the biggest homework assignment of my life. I assign this for a living. It's a little bit different when you have to do it and assign it to yourself. I share something in common with all of you. You and me, we are linked by one person. We knew her in different ways. You were co-workers. She may be a friend. Family. Whatever she was to you, you are here because she touched you in some way. But me, I am her daughter, and she was my mom. She was my friend. She was my world. And today I sadly have to tell her goodbye. My kids have to tell her goodbye. We all have to tell her goodbye. But before I do, I want to talk to you, to her. This is my last chance to be in the same room with her, my last chance to be in a room filled with people who cared about her. I may stumble over my words, I may cry, I may not even finish, but please bear with me as I ramble on about my mom. We all knew her in some way, shape, or form, but I want to tell you about the Sandra Wallace that I know. She was fun. If we would go out to eat, I felt like I always had to get onto her more than I did my own kids. She threw food. She would blow straw wrappers. And they would laugh, and it irritated me so much, but what I would not give to be sitting with her and yell at her for spitting a straw wrapper at one of my kids. She had fun with everything that she did. When the grandkids would come over, it was one non-stop play session. They would make up silly games such as Balloony Ball. Don't ask, I have no idea, but if you ask any one of those grandkids, they will rattle off every silly made-up rule of that game because that's just what they did. Birthdays were huge in her house. I know in her obituary, but she would spend all day making the cake just right and making you the meal that you wanted. Just this last month, it was my birthday, and I wanted a lemon cake with what I like to call sparkles. They're little bitty sprinkles. And she spent all day with Dylan getting that cake right, and bought bottles and bottles of those sparkles, and ended up throwing them at the cake, and to get them not just on the top but on the side. So I get there, and her house is covered. There's little balls, my sparkles are all over the house, and the cake was fantastic, but it was what I wanted. And so it didn't matter how long it took for her to make that cake, but she was going to make the cake because that's what I wanted. So she decorated, had the happy birthday sign, and we blew out candles, and then we'd unwrap gift after gift after gift, one of which, the last thing she ever bought me, were my red baby shoes. That's what we call them in my house, thanks to my son. She would also throw Sharknado parties. If you know me or you know my mom, that was big. And she would have Larry cut a watermelon in the shape of a shark, and we would put Barbies in the mouths. Some of the Barbies wouldn't have limbs because, the sharks ate them. And we would all wear matching shirts, and we would watch those god-awful movies. But we did it every year. I think that I don't know, there's 4 or 5. We haven't missed one. So I get my love of killer animal movies from her. She could sit and watch Jaws or Jurassic Park on repeat, and in fact she did. When she found a movie she liked, she would watch it on repeat. I remember back as a kid when Titanic came out. I think we heard My Heart Will Go On. She loved her family so much. I know that this was already said, but I couldn't talk about my mom without talking about her love for her family. It's no secret that she loved her husband. They were happy. and they had a really good life. She loved us kids, and she supported us in every decision that we made. She may not have always agreed with them, but she supported them. But man, did she love those grandkids. She was a great wife, and she was a great mom, but she was even a better Nene. It was a job that suited her very well. Those grandkids laughed more than they ever did at Nene and Poppy's house than anywhere else. I think that probably they would have moved in if we would have let them. I could stand up here and talk all day about the things that she did with the grandkids and with me, but I probably wouldn't stop talking. So, well, she was a great wife and a mom and a Nene. She was other things to many of you here. Many of you are here because of your connection to her through her long career as an English teacher. She started teaching in the 6th grade, and I thought that was going to be so cool. It was my first year at middle school, and I was really excited. My mom was going to be in the same building that I was. That quickly changed. My teachers would take my notes that I wrote to my friends and my boyfriends, and would instantly walk out of the classroom and then just go walk right next door to my mom's classroom and give her my notes. And so I instantly regretted my mom being in that. I was 12 or 13, so that instantly became very uncool. However, all my friends and everybody there, they loved her. We couldn't go out anywhere. It got to where we couldn't go anywhere without somebody coming up to her and hugging her, or a memory with her from decades ago. Even recently at basketball games, that there would just be people, person after person would come up and say, I had you in English. I had you in English. 20-something years ago, I had you in English. Now, I know that I do not remember every single one of my teachers. So for as many people who stayed in contact with her, with as many people who remembered her, with as many people who smiled when they thought of that dreaded English class, this is a testament to the impact that she had on her students. It's a testament to the legacy that she is leaving behind. Even though the bell rang at 3, she did not ever leave at 3. We would go up and see her sometimes 4:35, 5:30, and she would still be there because she had to get those lesson plans just right. If any of you ever went inside her classroom, it was inundated, and she had to have every poster, every decoration. It had to be just right. Her classroom definitely reflected her love of The Walking Dead, killer animal movies, and John Wayne, without a doubt. That's just to mention a few. I am proud to say that my job follows in my mom's footsteps. I will miss calling her with a grammar question when I doubt myself grading essays. Mrs. Wallace, Mrs. Conrad, Mrs. Maddox. While she won't be here anymore to teach us any more lessons, I hope that we can still find a way to keep learning from her, to remember what she taught us in life and in the classroom. So remember to have fun, love hard. Holidays are fun, so celebrate them. Be yourself. Education is important. Make your bed. If you're going to do something, give it 100%. Be silly. And as she always used to tell me, do what you have to do now to do what you want to do in the future. I'm almost done, but before I do, I can't step off the stage without sharing a few of my favorite memories with her. I remember as a kid she drove a Subaru, and it was a Standard, and she used to always pretend to run out of gas. And there was a point where she would make me get out of the car and tell me we were in front of the library, and she told me I was going to have to walk home. So I got out of the car and thought, well, dang. And she would just laugh and tell me to get back in the car, and I don't know why we fell for it every time, but we did. She took me to my very first concert, the Smashing Pumpkins. My proper English teaching mom transformed that day. The black t-shirt, black fingernails, and drove me after a swim meet to go watch the Smashing Pumpkins with my friend Denise, who's here. The very first song they played at that concert was the opening song that you heard here today. One Thanksgiving, not only did she make the turkey do the Macarena, if you remember that song and dance from the 90s, she playfully chased a friend down through my house and shoved mashed potatoes in her ear because she called them slimy. I remember when I called her to tell her I was pregnant with Devin and with Dylan and with Hudson, and she was so happy. I was in my first trimester one time, and I came home for Christmas, and if any of you have been pregnant, you know, you're tired in the first trimester. And I went to bed very early, and she comes barreling in the room I was sleeping in, and I thought something had happened. And she woke me up and was elated and just loud and boisterous and jumping on my bed. And I thought, what is going on? She wanted to just go look at Christmas lights. So that's what we did. She dragged me out of bed and we drove around, and at first I was not very happy, but it was fun. Just this past June, I took this woman to get her first tattoo. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, that woman who used to get on to me all the time for getting my tattoos. You're shocked. I took her to get a tattoo, and her words to me were, I don't want to get to a point in my life where I can't do the things that I've always wanted to do. So while she was scared and while she was nervous, she did it. So mission accomplished. I remember just a week ago, we drank wine on my back porch and watched The Walking Dead. It was so cold outside, but she brought logs for our fire pit. We couldn't get the first one going, so there were two, so it's quite a big fire. You were out of town. I'm glad you weren't there to see that. But we bundled up in blankets and sat around that fire pit and watched The Walking Dead blaring. So to my neighbors who probably heard that, I'm sorry. I remember every holiday, every gift, every family dinner, every stupid toy she bought my kids. I remember the Sharknado parties, and I remember her always being there and always supporting me throughout my life. She celebrated with me in my good times, and she cried with me in my bad times. I remember the way that she just looked at my kids, the way that she worried about their well-being for every little thing just because she cared about them so damn much. I have so many happy memories with her, and I am beyond sad that those memories stopped. So now I will just have to hold on to those memories and smile as they cross my mind. I remember one time when I was pregnant with Devin. I was a brat, and I was really pregnant with her. I was 39 weeks pregnant with her, and I wanted to go to Whitewater. I just wanted to go float the lazy river, and I was living 2.5 hours away, and I called her crying like a baby because I wanted to go to Whitewater. So instead of her telling me that I was being an idiot, she got in the car and drove up to Oklahoma City to take me to Whitewater. I ended up having Devin that day, so we didn't make it to Whitewater. We would have sleepovers. She only lived a mile away from my house, but she would come spend the night at my house, and she would sleep in my bed. We would watch stupid killer animal movies. We would stay up late. As I close, my heart is very heavy. I feel lost because she was such a big part of my world. This past Monday night, a really good friend of mine snuck a really cool gift in my house. And the first thought that entered my mind was that I needed to call my mom and tell her because she would really appreciate that. But I couldn't call her. I can't call her. But I have to believe that she is here. She is watching me. She is watching us. She is with Jesus, and there was a reason for this. I have to feel lucky that I had her, instead of sad that I lost her. Thank you, Mom, for being such a good mom and such a good Nene to my kids. We are lucky to have had you. You will be missed for the rest of our lives, and there is a hole that will never be filled. I don't really know how to end this because I feel I'm selling her short by not telling more memories or expressing to you what she meant to me and my kids and my family. But I think that she's here, and I think that she knows.